Yeah, great. I think we're live now. So good morning to everybody, and good morning to those who are joining us here at the moment. We're just letting people into the room. So thanks for taking the time to join us on this session this morning. I hope you're all well, and you're very welcome. Primarily, this session is for organisations considering engaging with Great Place to Work. I know that we do have a number of clients on the session who have new colleagues within their teams who are just looking to get I suppose, an information gather. So thankfully, this is great. Here's the three of us, so you'll get used to seeing our three faces during the session as we move through it. So as I say, very welcome to all of you. As you're coming into the room, we consider you to be participants. So we'd really like to hear from you during the session, and so that we can inform a good Q&A piece at the end. So a little bit of housekeeping at the bottom of your screen. You should really be seeing a chat function there and Q&A. So if you could drop a message into the Q&A piece there, just to let us know that you are receiving us loud and clear, and that you can see everything. And if you do want to mention the weather, as we often talk about the weather, you're very welcome to. So as I say, there's three of us on screen. Myself, Brian is my name, and my colleague Evelyn from Client Success, and Shane, who is part of my team as well. And behind we have some, thankfully, very skilled people looking after us, Akshita and Marina, in terms of slides. So we'll just move on to the next slide. As I say, primarily this session is for new organizations joining us. But just to give you a sense of a Great Place to Work, and something we talk about all the time, is the community and the network and the opportunity for learning throughout the community that we offer to our clients as an additional piece. So this session is coming up on the 28th of September, and this is actually a client-only event. So we like to mix and share our practices and our knowledge. But obviously, I suppose part of being a benefit of Great Place to Work and the team and the community is that you have client-only events. So this event here is really all around practices and action planning out of your data. And it's on the 28th. And on this one, we'll be hearing from Sport Ireland, the Fitzwilliam Hotel, and from Global Ireland, in conversation with our CEO, Carl. These sessions, I suppose, are obviously really good to hear from clients, and also the networking possibility. And then on the next slide, there's a piece here around our Red Cube podcast. And the most recent one we just launched this week, I believe, is with Salesforce and Mary Gallagher, and really, talking about collaboration among employees and how to maximize that. But there's a whole range of information there from Distilled and various other organizations, talking really about their experience with Great Place to Work and how they've used the data and worked through. So that's just to give you a quick sense of what's coming up. As I say, that is a client-only event, but if you do register with us in advance, you'd be very welcome to receive an invitation and attend to an in-person event, when it's great to be in person again. So just on our next slide then, is really to look at, I suppose, the agenda in terms of what it is that we're going to cover today. And in advance, what we have is just a quick poll here for you. Now, actually, what we're going to do is look at the first poll. I'm seeing a poll there with a number of polls at the same time. So what I might just do is slide over to the agenda to give you a sense and a flow of what's going to cover today. So I'm going to cover really the overview of Great Place to Work, our methodology, what that looks like, and then a valuable piece handing over to Evelyn in Client Success. And this is really to talk about the program in terms of the process around onboarding and pre-survey communication and all the supports we offer. And then Shane is going to talk more about the nuts and bolts of what the recognition actually looks like, and what's required to to achieve it. And then we'll come back and have a Q&A session. So we'll be looking to tie up around 10:50, that sort of time, because we're respecting your time as much as we can. So I don't know, we're due to have a poll there around surveys. I'm not sure if it's going to pop up, but if not, we can move on with the next slide and have a look at that. If that's possible. And I'm sorry for the delay here, guys. Just it's holding slides centrally and managing those for me, which is causing a little bit of a delay. So the overview around Great Place to Work. When we talk about somewhere being a great place to work, and what that looks like, we often ask organizations, do you believe that your workplace is a great place to work? So when we talk about a great place to work, this is actually the definition. So it is somewhere that you trust the people that you work for, have pride in the work that you do, and enjoy the people that you work with. So it sounds like a light enough definition, really, but the core piece around what we're measuring is trust. So great workplaces are those that are focused on building trust within their teams, and building trust from management to the broader teams, and ensuring that their teams are aligned to the strategy and to the mission of the organization, and to bring that forward. So we might move on to the next slide, actually, if we can. Great, thank you. So in terms of Great Place to Work, we're not just an Irish organization, we are a global organization. And this is relevant for some of the organizations joining this morning, and for others, maybe not so much. I suppose the important piece here is that in terms of the structure that we have in Great Place to Work and the methodology, the statements that we use in the survey are tried and tested, and we can offer benchmarks locally and globally because of our experience. So for some organizations that have a global footprint, we can offer a survey in those different locations. And then obviously in Ireland, we're using those core statements to deliver the survey element to organizations. So in terms of, I should have said on the last slide, great place to work. And when we talk about somewhere being a great place to work, we're measuring that through the survey. So it is not a submission-based award or recognition or certification. It's based on the employee experience. So when we're surveying in Ireland, we're using survey data for the people who sit in Ireland. So if we just go to the next slide, that would be great. And this is really looking at it in terms of, I suppose, some of the benefits of being a great place to work. And these are benefits that we know through our own data, and also importantly through our client experience and what they share back with us. And I suppose talent is the number one that jumps out, really. When we talk about talent, it's retention first. So it's using the survey data to mine that and understand, well, what is it that our top people are really championing? What are they really valuing? So where have we invested in the organization to create the culture that we want? What is it that they're recognizing and that they're shouting about in the organization? And then honing that message to attract like-minded and people who are a good fit and a good culture fit for our organizations, so that you're attracting and able to message and using the style that the talent that you want to attract want to hear from. In terms of competitive edge, then it's more about championing the fact that you are a great place to work, that you are certified, and using that externally, and on the back of that, then messaging why it's important to you, why it is important that you are a great place to work, and what it means for your people, what it means for your business, and that those people within the business feel valued and that their jobs are important and they make a difference. In terms of the market returns piece, this is primarily out of the US, where most of the organizations are publicly quoted, and we have data there to show that the best workplaces outperform the market significantly. And I suppose it's not a surprise if you have people who are aligned to the strategy and the business, they're going to deliver for the organization and outperform the others. And then benchmarking, I touched on a little bit in the previous slide. We have global benchmarks and local for the vast majority of our organizations. It is about accessing the range of benchmarks that we have, be it for sector, be it for size, be it for growth curve of the organization. We have a full range of benchmarks that allow you to look at your data and prioritize and say, well, actually, where are we going to focus here when we start to action plan. So if we can just move to the next slide, actually, that would be great. Dynamics. So this is really all about how it works. So how does Great Place to Work? So touched on earlier, the core piece is this employee experience survey. It's known as the Trust Index survey. And in the survey, there are a range of statements that we are asking all employees to respond to. So the survey invitation goes out to all employees, and we don't expect everybody to respond, but we're trying to drive as high a response rate as we possibly can. So I see actually people were very quick in responding to the first poll in terms of 94% of the people responding here believe that they work in a great place to work, which is fantastic. That is a great stat indeed. And I suppose ultimately, if you think about it, organizations that are certified and that are best workplaces are self-selecting. So typically they believe they've done work and their people are aligned to the organization, and they have a sense of what that looks like. So then they're keen to step into the space to use the Great Place to Work platform. And that I'll just go back to how it works then. So the core piece, as I say, is this employee experience survey that we call the Trust Index survey. And then we have a piece around culture, and profiling the culture. So there's a little piece here around depending on the size of your organization. So for any organization less than 300 people, what we look to do is we simply run the survey and we use what we call a brief document. And in the brief document, you'll be telling us the headlines in there of how you would want to share your organization once you are certified. And we give you access to our website and our platform. And we use the headlines that you share with us, but the important piece is ongoing. You get to profile your organization and use some of your survey data to leverage your employer brand in the market. If you're an organization, and so for any organization, I should say this probably more clearly, for any organization in terms of certification, it's simply based on the survey result, and we use your culture brief to profile your organization. In terms then of best workplaces at a later stage, possibly if you're over 300 people, we will look for a culture audit as well, and in there we will trap some of your practices and some of the areas that you have invested in. So that is the end of that slide, and we'll move on to the next slide, which is really around what the survey scoring methods look like. Actually, I wonder if you could drop the poll from the screen, if that's possible. That would be great. But if it's not, I can live without. So this slide is really showing you what the survey method looks like. So as I touched on, in the survey, there are a range of statements and people respond to those statements. So the statements are always positive, and they could be, I'm proud to tell people I work here, management to keep me up to date with important information, and they respond on a scale of 1 to 5. And in scoring, we consider both 4 and 5 to be a positive response. So both 4 and 5 are a positive response, and that would deliver score for you around high trust. And then the last slide for me, if you could move on to that, is really trying to give you a sense of, from the survey that we have launched, there are a total of 73 statements. These statements inform 17 actionable categories. And this is really your data for your organization, an opportunity for you to mine that. We chunk it up into 3 areas, which we call out as achieving organizational objectives, people giving their personal best, and then working together as a team. So on your screen there, you'll see a range of areas that really are imperative to the performance of the organization around, communication and involvement, strategy and direction, management and leadership, under achieving organizational objectives. And that's the first area that we call out. That for me is really like a terms of reference for everything to do with Great Place to Work. If it's going to help the organization to achieve its objectives, then it's an area we want to gather information on, we want to gather data on, and that's what the survey capture is all about. around personal best. Obviously, it's going to be around career development and so on, and well-being and engagement. And then people working together as a team. We're measuring reward and diversity and inclusion and your culture. And these are areas that organizations have asked us to give them feedback on. So we're able to deliver that through the survey piece. So I hope that's helpful. I'm supposed to be talking for 15 minutes and I'm on 16. So I'm going to shut up now and close these screens. And what we can do then is hand over to my colleague, Evelyn. And Evelyn is in our client success team. And what will happen for you here is that, I suppose your initial point of contact can often be with me and Shane, and then we'll be handing over to you to Evelyn and the team in client success. So I'll just hand over to you there, Evelyn.
Great, thanks, Breen, and hi everyone. I'm in client success, and as I've said, I'm a project manager. I've been working in Great Place for 4 years now, and I've worked for many organizations, different sizes, different sectors. And it's really just our role to bring you through the survey process from the beginning right to the end. So we're your main point of contact throughout and always here for support. So I'm just going to do a quick program overview, and then we'll go through the documents that are needed. And then anything else, any questions you have, I can answer at the end of the webinar. So here's just a quick one. This is the client journey that you'll have. So once the registration is signed and sent to us, you get assigned to a project manager. It could be myself. We have a team of 4 people, Sinead, Claire, or Joseph. And then we initiate like a 30-minute kickoff call, which can be through Teams or Zoom. And this is a chance for us to meet for the first time, to build that relationship and to have a chance to answer any questions, or just go through the deadline of when you want to survey, and any questions that you have that were more applicable on how to increase response rate, or what have you seen or what have I seen other companies do to communicate the survey. So really, it's just a chance to bounce ideas off each other and to get to know each other as well. And then I go through the survey process and all the documents that are needed. And I also reiterate, I say a lot of information on the call, and everything I say is fed back through in an email, from an email that you can decide for your own time. So it's really more of a chance to get to know each other and for me to give you support, basically. So here we have the pre-communication document. This is one of the most important documents I find. It is useful to increase their awareness around the organization of the survey. So this is a chance for you to tell the employees that we're doing the survey for your feedback. This is your chance to be heard. We're going to action on the insights that we find. So to help you with that, we provide a sample document as customized posters, which we can put in your logo for. That would be like, the survey's coming, the survey is going to be closed, and the survey is closed. Then we have sample email banners, sample memos that you can send off through email or through Slack, and then a list of Q&As that we have had throughout the years, like how long the survey is, which is around 10 or 12 minutes, where the survey is going to be landed into, which is your email inbox, and how reputable Great Place to Work is, because I think a lot of employees think that you will know if they answer the survey, and that's just really not the case. So I really think that is a big message to send to the employees, that this is their chance to be heard and for you for the company to listen. So I sent you that, and then we go through anything that you would like. We go through scenarios of how to increase it, like a coffee morning, or like a email from the CEO at the beginning. So really what works best for organizations, because some sites are on-site, off-site, remote, or in the office. So really go through all the situations, scenarios, and which one suits the best for you. So the other slide, we go over the setup documents that are needed. Yes. So this is the employee file. And this is what I will input into the system to submit surveys. This is very important. And I spend a lot of time on this on the call. I share my screen and I bring up the Excel document. So it's populated from yourself. It could be through multiple people in the organization, but it's details such as the name, so first name, last name, email address corresponding to the employee, the department they're in, and job level. So there's up to 4 job levels you can have. I'll say this all on the call, but this is just a quick overview. And I also have an additional explainer video that I can provide you to help populate. So we really do ensure that we get the best out of this employee file, because it's very important, because this is how the data is going to be interpreted at the end of the survey. And then we also have time to discuss the additional filters, which has up to 9. So this is to your organizational needs, how you want to split the data up. Really, it's again, on-site, off-site, if you want to do sub-departments, if we want to do managers or anything like that. But the biggest thing I would say here is that we do ask demographics in the survey. They are self-select, so they won't be as accurate if you provide them. But also, we provide, oh, sorry, I forgot my last one. All right, doesn't matter. I'll come back to it if it comes back to me. And yeah, can't remember it. Anyway, so the employee file is needed a week before survey launch date. And I'll go through that in the next slide here. Oh yeah, but sorry, this is the IT testing protocol. And this is needed before the survey launches. So this ensures the survey does not go into your junk or your spam folders. So this just ensures that it goes straight into the email inbox in the morning of the survey launch, and it could be tested on your side with your IT technicians. So this ensures that everything's on board and we're all good to go. So that's also a week before the survey launch date. So a quick, this is the culture brief is needed for certificate eligibility. Breen touched on it a little bit as well. So it's a snapshot of your organization's demographics. It takes an average of 20 or 30 minutes to complete, and we just need it before the survey closes. So this can be completed by who is the main lead on the Great Place to Work project, along with a HR manager, as some statistics or some information is needed, such as turnover and staff employee numbers and everything like that. So honestly, it takes 20, 30 minutes to complete, very easy. And any questions you have on that, I'll be here to support you with this. So a quick survey process overview, and I'll go through this. So we select a survey launch date. You might have one in mind, or you might ask if I can provide a specific time frame for you guys to do it. With this, I always say I lead 2 weeks in to pre-communicate the survey. So I wouldn't rush into it, just purely because there won't be enough time to set the foundations of why you're doing it and the employees to know that it's coming. So that's probably one of the biggest recommendations I would give there. And the survey is live for 2 weeks. And then I will send a reminder emails after 1 week. But also beginning that, I will give you a response rate login details from the back end. So you can access the response rate in real time and ensure that, and it breaks it down into the departments to see how it's all going. And I also will be there and keep an eye on it for you too. And the reminder emails after 1 week are to only the employees who have yet to fill the survey. So people who have completed, the employees who have completed it won't get another one to annoy them. So it closes after 2 weeks. I send a final response rate to you. We'll also set up a planning action session, and that's between 2 or 3 weeks after the survey launch, after the survey close. And then I also provide you with the reports, and I'll lead you on to the presentation of the results, which is presented by a partner or a colleague of mine here in Great Place to Work. It's over 90 minutes and it's very detailed, and it is a great place to action plan for the year ahead. It is where you can have the time to divulge into the data, and where you can access the knowledge of Great Place to Work insights, which we have many. And yes, so then I send you off after the results. I send you back all the reports, and if you will need any additional reports, I'll be your main point of contact. We can talk through that, and I will provide them for you. And after that, if any events are up or any seminars or anything like that, you'll be in touch directly. You'll be part of the Great Place to Work network. You'll have my email at hand, as well as my LinkedIn, and any of my colleagues. Really, we're all here to support you in being a great place to work. It's a great network to be in, as biased as I can be. But yeah, so this is all from me. Many thanks. If you have any questions, ask me at the end of the webinar. And yeah, happy to have everyone on board. So I will go back to Shane here. So I'm just going to end my slideshow there. And I'll stop sharing there. Yeah.
Right. Thanks,
Shane, over to you.
Great. Thanks so much, Evelyn, and good morning, everyone. As I just load up my slides here, just want to say, thanks so much for joining this morning. My name is Shane. I've worked at Great Place to Work for 5.5 years now, in the business development department. So my role is really to kind of help organizations understand the process and the benefits of going through our program. And if you guys have any questions so far from what you've heard up to this point and you want to ask them, we have a Q&A section at the bottom, a chat function as well. So please feel free to drop down your questions there and we'll make sure we get to them towards the end of the call. I just want to start by revisiting where Breen left off. So our survey itself has 73 questions. Now, 60 of those questions are global standard questions. So these are questions that are asked in every single Great Place to Work survey around the world when it comes to certification. We also have 13 country-specific questions for the Irish market. So your certification is actually based on those 60 global standard questions. And again, it's on this 1 to 5 scale from almost always untrue to almost always true. And just imagine if we take this question on screen as an example, if you scored, say, 70% for this question, it means 70% of the employees who answered this question answered positively to the question. So they answered often true or almost always true. And then what we do is we just add up your scores for the 60 global standard questions and take the overall average. And if that overall average number is 65% or higher, you're certified right away. So you can see it here. You need to score a minimum of 65% across those 60 questions, which are weighted equally. And if you do, you're certified immediately. So a typical project turnaround time would be around 6 weeks, just to ensure a very kind of comfortable process, including that 2-week survey. And the certification itself is valid for 1 year, and you're issued with your certification badge and media toolkit, once you learn that you're certified. So this is something that you can start to activate and start promoting immediately. It'll be dated for 1 year. So for example, if your survey ended today and you were certified, it would say September 2023 to September 2024, Ireland. And we've also used that culture brief form that Evelyn mentioned there to activate your certification profile on our website, which will have kind of highlights of your best scores from the survey. It will have links to your careers page, and it really builds this sort of web presence around your certification and the achievements that you've received. So one of the great things is if you're certified, you're automatically considered for all of our best workplaces lists that happen throughout the year. And I'll get to that point now in a moment. But just in terms of that activation, I thought it was really interesting to see in that poll that it was actually 82% of the respondents to the poll said that they're going to be hiring this year. Whether it's less than 5 all the way up to over 50. So I think in terms of attracting top talent, a lot of companies want to use this certification as a tool for talent attraction, talent retention, and so on. Just to give you a real life example, we had a really interesting webinar which you can check out on our website. You can find the recording of it there. Earlier in the year with the company called Statkraft, and they're in the renewable energy sector. And one of the things that the CEO said on that call was, prior to certification, they would have traditionally hired people from within the renewable energy sector, but once certified and we'd kind of published their profile everywhere with links to their careers page and so on, they started to get a lot more applications from people from other fields, for example, marketing firms, law firms, and so on. So it really helped them attract a new type of talent, I'd say, and ultimately help diversify their workplace and enhance their workplace culture. So I thought that was a pretty interesting point in terms of one of the benefits that certification brought to their business as well. And in terms of activating the certification, we will also help you do that. So we'll give you examples in terms of how you can activate the certification internally to really boost that sense of pride amongst your employees, but also to allow your employees to become advocates for the employer brand. And you can see here on screen some of our clients and the different ways in which they've activated it. It doesn't just have to be digitally in terms of your, your email signature and your LinkedIn banners and so on. It's really trying to create a really big celebration within your workplace to kind of acknowledge their time they took to take part in the survey, but also all the effort that has brought you to that point of being certified. And then, of course, we'll share examples and templates for how you can communicate your achievement externally to the broader market to really help validate your employer brand, with this external accreditation. And again, you can see more examples here on screen, and we're happy to share, a lot of examples with you when the time comes. In terms of, the other recognitions that Great Place to Work offers, we have best workplaces lists. When you're certified is kind of step one, best workplaces list is step two. When you're certified, it's very much us promoting you. We will create that web profile for you on our website. We'll announce that you're certified in all of our social media channels. But with Best Workplaces list, you're also featured automatically in these external media partners that we work with. So whether it's Irish Times, Irish Examiner, Gloss Magazine, Silicon Republic, depending on which of the lists you're featured on, you'll also be featured in those publications too. I would say if you're trying to understand what's the difference between certification and Best Workplaces list, certification is not a competition. Best Workplaces list is a competition. So certification, there's no deadline. You can be certified any time of year. And it's very much just, did you pass the survey with 65% or higher? Yes? Okay, you're certified. But Best Workplaces list is essentially the best of the certified companies for that given year. So it's roughly the top 50% of the certified companies for that given year make the list. We have different types of Best Workplaces lists as well. For example, Best Workplace for Women. We're all looking at this one certification survey you do. Like everything, all these recognitions are derived from that same survey. But for the Best Workplaces for Women list, we look at a sub-index of questions that relate to inclusion and equality in the workplace. And we also focus on the female respondents to that sub-index of questions. So if you meet that certain threshold, you're awarded as Best Workplace for Women as well. And that's its own separate event celebrated around International Women's Day. And we also have industry-specific lists. So if you're certified and you happen to be in the pharma and healthcare industry or the tech industry, you'll be featured on those lists too. So just to kind of summarize that recognition piece, by doing just one survey that you apply for certification, you could potentially receive multiple recognitions all throughout the year based on your final survey score, based on your industry or company size. Here you can see the different publication dates and the deadline in which you would need to be certified by in order to be considered for the next available lists. And, if you want to ask us any questions about any of the lists, you're very welcome. We also have regional and global lists, depending on how many national lists you feature on, whether it's in Europe or globally. So speaking of deadlines, the next Best Workplaces lists to be published, the next one coming up is the Pharma and Healthcare list. So if you're here on today's call, you're in pharma and healthcare. If you're certified by October 10th this year, you'll be featured on the Best Workplaces Pharma and Healthcare list, which will be published in late November this year. Then the deadline for the main Best Workplaces in Ireland list is December 15th. Likewise for Best Workplaces in Women for 2024. For Best Workplaces in Ireland, we also break it down into small, medium, and large. So depending on your size as well. So given that the typical turnaround time is 6 weeks, if you're for pharma and healthcare, it might be a good idea to get going soon. But you do have up until December 15th to be considered for the Irish list. So that's kind of it from the recognition side of things. But I think, honestly, one of the most valuable things about working with Great Place to Work is that we really try and help you understand your data behind the survey and all the scores that go with it. As Breen mentioned before, one of the reports that you'll receive is a really easy to digest report breaking down all the data into 17 actionable categories, which will be benchmarked as well. So you can see how your scores are in terms of things like management metrics, career development and progression, and more team-related aspects as well. But the main report itself will have the full 73 questions in the survey broken down into the different demographic groups that are measured. And again, this kind of touches on what Evelyn was mentioning in terms of the file that you fill in, the template with the different demographic groups that you want to measure based on your own company structure. For example, if you added sub-department or manager or location to that file, you would see the scores by those different demographic groups in this main report. And then also there's 3 open-ended questions at the end of the survey. You'll see the employees' comments in that comment report as well. So again, this is just purely extra data for management to review whilst reviewing the main results. The comments do not count towards your certification, but again, it's just extra data for you to work with. Now, one of the things that we also offer, and it's part of the main package as well, is that you're given a results review session with one of our consultants. So in this session, it's a 90-minute session. It can be done online or in person. And we'll have all the key findings ready for you. But it's very much a discussion with your senior management to really focus on the areas that you've performed very well in, but also to really focus on those areas that could potentially be improved. And again, it's very much a dialogue. It's us trying to bring, best practices that we've got from 30 years of experience to say, you've done brilliantly in these areas, but how about trying potentially these few practices that are working really well for other companies of similar size or industry to you, and trying to map out maybe a couple of programs to introduce in the year ahead that would suit your culture, your values, your budget, and so on. So it's a really, really useful session in terms of, building on the survey results and trying to, directly target those areas that employees are looking for, certain improvements in. And then typically companies will renew with us each year, or they might sign 3-year contracts, because they kind of look at this as a journey. They want to see when they survey again the next year, have they made improvements in those areas that we've targeted, and with the help of those practices as well. In terms of registering or signing up to the program, it's super simple. It's a 1-page registration form that needs to be filled in and returned. And once that's returned, we then hand you over to the client success team. So to Evelyn or to one of her team members as well. And they'll kind of take you from there and support you through the whole process. And then we'll launch the survey, whatever date you want to launch. So we'll build that project timeline around your preferred survey launch dates. So I'm just going to hand you back over to Brian now. Don't forget to drop some questions in the Q&A box below, and we'll get to them in a moment. But thanks very much for your time.
Great, thanks, Shane. That's brilliant. Thanks for going through that. You certainly covered a lot there. It's a lot to get through, and I appreciate for people seeing this a lot for the first time or early days that it's a lot to consume. So you're not gone for long, Shane, because of a question for you. A bit of confusion I might have caused there. Helen's asked a question around best workplaces, and do you need to have 300 people or more for best workplaces? So I wonder if you just kind of go into that a little bit in terms of certified, and then maybe the size categories for best workplaces. That'd be helpful.
Sure. So the short answer is no. So to be certified, you need to have at least 10 employees in order to apply for it. There are certain response rates needed in order to achieve certification. We do that on a confidence level ratio, which we can explain more maybe after the call. But if you've between 10 and 19 employees, you can be certified. So 10 or above, you can be certified, but you need to have 20 employees to be on the best workplaces list, or 20 survey responses. So if you've got between 20 and 100 employees, you're considered for the best workplaces small category, 100 to 300 the medium category, and 301 above the large category. So to answer your question, if you have 20 or more employees, you can be considered for the best workplaces list. And then we just break it down into those different size categories.
Very good, very good. That clarifies it. So Helen, sorry about that, causing that confusion there. So the culture audit is only relevant for organizations of 300 people and above. And Evelyn, a question came in from Simon, I believe. I think it was Simon. And the question is, a lot of our staff have personal email. How does this work for verifying if it goes to spam, etc.? I'd say that's something you see all the time. So if
yeah,
you could just...
it is. Yeah. And we send the survey to personal emails a lot, actually. And the Great Place to Work domain is verified. The IT testing protocol is for the company emails, as they have more of a whitelisting criteria. So no problem going into the personal email addresses. It doesn't go into spam or junk at all. So that's why that's there. Hope that.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good one. Okay. And then Neil asked a question. I know Carl had a little bit of contact with Neil there. And I am trying to scroll this up. So Neil was asking the question around is there additional processes that an organization has to go through in terms of best workplaces? And this is a little bit aligned with Helen's question. So if you think about best workplaces, is the best a certified organization? The only additional process might be if you're over 300, would be the inclusion of the culture audit piece. Jacqueline had a question early on then around, is the process different and cost different for a small organization? So the process is not different. And we have lightened up the process over the last number of years to make it more accessible and less resource pull for smaller organizations by taking away the culture audit and, you know, increasing resources on our side. In terms of cost for a small organization, around 55, again, as Shane said, size category for small ranges from 20 up to 100. So your investment figure there on average really is, you know, 5,500 to 8,000, and that covers you completely for the year, for the full certified process, and for best workplaces as well. Shane touched on the opportunity that a lot of organizations do take up to engage for 3 years. And so there's an opportunity here. Why would an organization engage for 3 years? Sometimes it's to relieve the pressure of achieving certification the first time around. So the positioning with their people to say they're engaging with Great Place to Work with a view to being certified over the next 3 years. And then that gives them the opportunity, if they don't achieve certified the first time, to start to work through the process of the program and in the survey the second year around. To look at certification again. And the reason I'm bringing this up now is in relation to cost. There is an opportunity to hold the rate annually throughout the 3 years, or there are some other rates available depending on the cash flow capability of the organization. So thank you, Jacqueline, for that. I hope that explains that. Now, while I've been talking, there's a few questions have come in there. I see one anonymous one here, in that we've already completed the Best Place to Work survey earlier this year. Can we participate in Best Workplace for Ireland or Best Workplace for Women? Shane, could I ask you to, I know you touched on that a little bit, but maybe if you could just talk into the Best Workplace for Women piece, that I think would be helpful.
Sure. Yeah, so if you were certified earlier this year, you'll automatically be considered for the Best Workplaces list. And if you've over 50 employees, you'll automatically be considered for the Best Workplaces for Women list. The way that we look at that is within the 73 questions in our survey, there are about 12 that are related to inclusion and equality specifically. And we isolate the data from the female perspective and look at that sub-index of questions to determine if you're also awarded as Best Workplace for Women as well. And if yes, we'll let you know towards the end of the year, and it will all build up towards the awards event in March 2024. And I think more details to that are going to follow. But if you were at the Best Workplaces for Women event this year, you'll know where it's going to be. And, you know, it's always a really good day. So yeah, you don't need to apply separately for Best Workplaces or Best Workplaces for Women. You're just automatically considered so long as you meet the criteria of, you know, you're certified and you have, in the case of Best Workplaces for Women, 50 employees or more.
Thanks, Shane. That's great. And just a quick one for you around could you just look at the deadline for Best Workplace in Pharma and Healthcare again?
Sure.
For Leanne, please. Thank you.
Sure. And the deadline for Pharma and Healthcare is October 10th. Given that the survey takes 2 weeks to complete, or it's open for 2 weeks, that would mean that you'd want to be launching your survey by the end of September, so that you can be certified by October 10th and then be considered for the 2023 Pharma and Healthcare list. So the deadline to be certified is October 10th this year for Pharma and Healthcare.
Great. Thanks, Shane. There's one question that came in before the webinar today, was around the score of 65%. What if you don't achieve that score? Which is a fair question. As I said, all our organizations are self-selecting. So you know, they will either come to us with the view that they are ready and they believe they can certify it, or I have a lot of organizations that will say to me, Breen, we don't even know where we are. We don't know if we're good. and we want to go on the journey, as it were. So I would say, honestly, whether you achieve 65% and are able to be certified or not, there's always work to be done. So as we touched on, the survey statements capture your employee experience over the 17 actionable categories. If you do not achieve 65%, then there is a deficiency in some areas. We'll help you identify those and, more importantly, prioritize. So it's really important that you don't rush in and try and fix everything. It's really important that you start to address the key areas that are going to help support your strategy and deliver for the business. A couple of questions have come back in regarding fees, how they're paid. Could I cover them again? What do they look like? So typically, in terms of the process, Shane touched on registration. So we have a simple registration form that you complete, and then we're setting up your planning call with Evelyn and the team in client success. Obviously, we have a finance team as well. At that stage, they'll engage with you with a view to setting up invoicing and so on. So ideally, we're looking to have that set up before the survey is launched, so that you're paying your fees in advance. So it's not paying a fee to be certified; it's engaging in the process and engaging in the program. And that's what the fees apply to. So obviously our role then is to drive response rate as high as we can to increase your chances to be certified. And I don't have line of sight of who asked the question to repeat the cost, but I was using just an example of a mid-range, kind of top end of a small organization, depending on the level of engagement that you want. And we can talk about that individually with organizations, whether the level of engagement that you want or where we want to put the focus in the program. But the investment figure ranging really from around 5,500 to 8,000 a year, and that would cover everything. Now, as I've been talking, more questions I think may have come in, so I just might need to scroll. Shane, have you seen any questions there? Or I don't know if you had any advanced questions in.
There's one here where there are current list of companies. Where can I find the current list of companies in pharma and healthcare category? And all of our lists are on our website, greatplacetowork.ie. So that's where you can find all the lists from the previous years and the Great Place to Work lists and everything like that. So that's where you can find that information.
And somebody has asked around the Sunday Times best list, which is really UK based. So I'm afraid I can't really answer what their process looks like or how that would work for you. I suppose the certification process, we still talk about it being very much the new process with us, in terms of we launched it recently, and it's been really helpful for organizations, because some will view it as a preparatory stage for best workplaces, but for a lot of organizations it's a safe space, and it makes a lot of sense to your people to say we're engaging with a view to being certified. And if you don't achieve it the first time, a bit like an ISO standard or a quality standard, where you need to place your focus on, and to see that. So gives me glasses on again so I can see this. Is there a public body award? So we would have, I understand this question right. So the question has come in, is there a public body award? So a number of our clients are in the public sector, and they would be, I can think of certainly, Board BIA, the Comptroller and Auditor General, there's a number of organizations there. We don't have a specific category award for the public sector. Our key ones would be Best Workplace in Tech and Best Workplace in Pharma and Healthcare, and then Best Workplace for Women. But we are increasing our sectoral recognitions, and there'll be more on that next year, and more coming through on that. Now, at 10 to 11, I think we've answered all the questions. I'm sorry if I'm not looking at camera here. I'm looking both sides on lists. Oh yeah, sorry. The one question that came in advance was around internal surveys. We have an internal survey already. Is this a problem? And how will we manage that? So talking about time with Great Place to Work, I'm with Great Place to Work over 11 years. When I started, there was a huge focus around survey fatigue. If we survey our people more than once or twice a year, honestly, we would have clients that would use various internal survey platforms ongoing on a monthly, quarterly, biannual basis to capture sentiment throughout the organization. The key thing here is if you're using internal surveys, ongoing or in advance of engaging with us, is that you're responding to your people from what they're giving you feedback on those surveys. That informs them then that, you know, their voice is being heard, and that will actually help drive the response rate for a Great Place to Work survey, which is seen very clearly as an external expert, which guarantees confidentiality and anonymity for them. So they're keen to get involved. So I would say over 90% of our clients would have an internal survey in some format. So that's not an issue, and it's more of a standard there. And yes, Jane has asked a question around charities. Certainly, we like to support charities, and because, you know, of what we do for people in their organizations. So we do have charity rate, and we'd be happy to talk to you again based on size and how we can best support you in that. So that's great. So thank you very much for everybody for participating. We had great attendance today, and thanks for your time. I think Evelyn touched on the fact that we will be sending out the slides afterwards, and the links and everything that she shared. So we will look to follow up with you. In the follow-up, there's a chance for you to come back and engage with us as well, and book some time to talk through your individual organization and needs and focuses. And that's probably where we're at our strength, where we can uncover what we can do best. But for now, thank you very much to everybody for attending. Evelyn, thanks a mil, and Shane, thanks to you too, and Akshita and Marina, thank you very much for your support, your hidden support to keep us on air and keep us on time. Thanks everybody, and look forward to hearing from you. Cheers now, bye bye.